Good evening. Today is March 25th. S&P 500 closed up 26 points above 3,900 level. Like Victor was saying, the odds were yesterday. If the market breaks below the 3,900 level, then the odds were that it will break above it before it breaks the next round number. Although, like you were tweeting, the expectations are not exactly very favorable. We have moved 65 points from the lows made this morning at 38.43, which was just below the Sogi level, 38.50. Russell was up 2.4%, or 4% from the intraday low, which was a very good indicator of what's to come for S&P, I guess. Nasdaq was unchanged. And the market was woke, as you predicted, specifically, I guess, for Biden to have a good day for his press conference, which I would say was rather uneventful. The most interesting things from Biden's press conference were that he said he's planning to run in 2024. Well, I sincerely hope we have some new medical breakthroughs by then. He also said that he is open to get rid of the Senate filibuster, and his main policies that he's focusing on are immigration and gun control. Those are his priorities. And on China, he sounded kind of soft. He said that there is stiff competition, but he doesn't want any confrontation. And in the fun news, GameStop stock was up 53% today, more than erasing yesterday's loss. It's trading around 180 now. And it seems that the volatility is back there, and oil is trying to catch up to GameStop stock volatility. Oil is down 4.5% today, after being up 5% the day before and down 7% the day before yesterday. So the volatility is oil is a little interesting. And for banking, the Fed said that the dividends and buyback limits are going to end on June 30th for most banks because the banking system is strong. Bitcoin today tested the Sogi level as well at 50,000 and rebounded and is now trading at 52. And bonds had a slight down day. Victor, what do you make today of the market movements?
You said it best. You said it perfectly. If I weren't watching all the prices, and I could have predicted that these things happen. But
And
you were very sapient today. I should say nothing. But I like the fact that you summarized it as saying it was a very woke day. Couldn't have been more woke. The
Yep.
president wants to eliminate the filibuster, and he doesn't want any unity. It has to start with the Republicans coming to him to help along some of his progressive. If I were a younger man, I would practice somersaults because everything today was the opposite of yesterday.
Yes.
It opened up yesterday, went way down, had a very terrible close, 75 points in the last prior 3 days, and today it went up about 15 to 20 points. Nasdaq was up 1 or 2% yesterday morning, closed down 2%. Today it was down 2% and closed slightly up. Really, everything was the opposite of the previous day. I wonder why. Usually, they say that if you stand on your head and you can you think of what happened in the previous year, and everything will be the opposite this year. But of course, now we don't work in 1 year cycles. We work in 1 day cycles. Market stocks had only a 60-point range, but it was enough, I think, to create a lot of vig, and a lot of people lost money. It was hard to hold on when it was way down below the 38.50 Sogi level, and then when it, but it was interesting. Overnight, it threatened to break 3,900. It went 38.95 level. Had some nice declines overnight. So remember that the markets, one of the market's main purposes to create havoc and fear from the bottom feeders, and make them lose more money than they have any right to lose. And certainly looked like we had a 3,700 handle. It was hard to maintain one's bullishness when it was crashing. It went down about 30, 40 points, past 1% from the open. So you said it best. I had occasion, I always like to hear what Bill Gross says, as far as I know he's never admitted to a losing trade, except when he had his own fund. He didn't have any winning trades, but he admitted that he was short bonds. He was short the 10-year, and still short. Very humbly admitted that he was made 10 million on Bitcoin. And Ray Dalio is another faker. Has the biggest hedge fund in the
Yeah, we
world.
need to talk more about him. There are so many rumors flying around Ray Dalio and his open policy, or whatever it's called, policy, where everybody's supposed to tell the truth 100% of the time.
Seems rather self-serving, big bureaucracy there. Nobody can do anything without going through X layers of management. It reminds me, when I was a professor, they started rating the teacher's performance, and I was one of the worst professors in the world. But when I came to Berkeley, there were about 400 kids that packed my first lecture, because they had all heard that I was a star. There was clapping when Berkeley announced that they had hired me, and I gave the same class 5 years later, and 3 people attended it. So I went from 400 people to 3 people. A few of those students are still on the spec list.
Nice.
Bill Rafter was one of my students. Surpassed me climbing up the stairs while I was falling down. But I noticed that Bill Gross has been the most bearish person in the world, aside from Alan Abelson, on stocks. And the only thing he said that was against stocks was that his only holding there was shorting GameStop. He probably wouldn't have. It would have given this was interview on Bloomberg. By the way, I noticed that all the Bloomberg reporters are showing a lot of cleavage these days, and especially the ones who interview Warren Buffett. So
I haven't watched financial television in probably 5 years, so I have no idea.
yeah, I'm sure that's part of the quid pro quo. It's always.
Well, they need to entice their viewers somehow. Otherwise, everybody's just going to be on Twitter.
I think it's also the person they're interviewing. They like to, anyway. There was a turn to spring clothing, to the pre-COVID clothing. Nobody is wearing smocks and robes anymore on television. I thought it was very good that for the market that Biden didn't take any queries from Fox. He only let 10 reporters speak. It was very woke. Everything was very woke. Now the question is, will the stock market go to a new high? There's not much talk about the tax increase today, guys. There's the stock vigilantes did their job. They made all the progressives were calling for larger spending, and Ray Dalio had a good point about eventually the Fed start printing money rather than just buying the debt. It's amazing that bonds were only down 4 or 5 ticks.
So we had a yellow day today.
Correct. Bonds were amazingly resilient, and the triple E is not making as much money as they're about unchanged from the beginning of the year, and stocks are up 6%. You said it all. I have nothing.
Well, there are a few interesting things about on the health front today. De Blasio said that Broadway will return to New York City in September. So they're finally trying to reopen the economy. You would go to Broadway, but not a cruise ship. God knows why one thing is different than the other. You could go to a supermarket crowded with people, but not a cruise ship. And also in Texas, today I have a chart. It's been 2 weeks since Texas lifted its mask mandate, and everybody again was proclaiming Armageddon. And as expected, the health experts, including our favorite Dr. Doom, all were wrong. And daily new cases in Texas are going down, as you could see on the chart. After the mask mandate was introduced, the cases went up, and after the mask mandate was lifted, the cases went down. I wonder if this is the cause or coincidence, or it's just masks are simply irrelevant. But there are so many facts that they don't work, and it doesn't matter how many facts I show, people are still saying, put the mask on, just in case. Another interesting article came out from Washington Examiner saying that the local government was wrong in trying to close our schools. And the data proves it. They had private schools opened with around 8,000 students for the last half a year. As the public schools were closed, private schools still were opened. And with 8,000 students and hundreds of teachers and other staff, faculty people, there was only one hospitalization related to COVID, only one, and 0 deaths. Not only there were no danger to the students, no danger to the teachers or anything. Yet again, more data, and yet our schools are still closed.
Well, it's a danger to the unions that if they let the teachers work. They still get paid even when they
Right.
don't teach, and now there's 100 billion for more school safety, and
Right.
the unions are they have the grip on federal spending, and they made sure that the $3 trillion stimulus bill had 100 billion to back up all the union pensions. I noticed that New York needs some more money. They want to raise taxes on all the individuals, and so that they can increase salaries of health workers and state employees. Cuomo is in the catbird seat. You said it best. Everything is woke. That's why the stock market went up.
Right. Even Elon Musk got in the crosshairs of labor. He tweeted something anti-union. I don't remember. I don't know exactly what. And the labor board ruled that his anti-union tweet was illegal, and he was ordered to delete that anti-union tweet. So more woke news as it is. And
Well, I noticed that Bernie Sanders is he has reservations about banning President Trump, the
right.
former President Trump, from Twitter. He's sort of hunting with the hounds and running with the hares.
I think he just wants to be relevant and be in the news. His policies are no longer controversial or liberal, so nobody cares about him. So he needs to say something that at least would bring him back to relevance, because the current DNC party is way more left of him.
How could you be more left than him? Isn't he just?
No, at some point it was
Everybody was holding their fire. The president was going to be conciliator and going to bring us to the middle, and the progressives were holding their fire until they got the most woke administration in history. So the voting rights bill is in play, and the infrastructure bill is in play, and I noticed that Chance Gardner said he hauled out a study saying that the economy has been much better after each debacle that the Fed is bailed out by buying government debt. Someone must have told him a few days ago that unless he watches his step, he must have received a study a few days ago rather than in the last 3 days, when bonds have basically gone through the roof. They went up as much in the last 2 days as the prior 2 days as they had falling in the previous 10. So someone must have told him that he better watch his step. So today, again, it was a standing on your head day, because all of a sudden the market dropped 1.5%. It was testing the round number of 3,900, and then all of a sudden it was testing the 3850 level. Why? Because tapering. He mentioned the word tapering. And so why did the stock market go down? It was, again, crazy standing on your head. It went down because by tapering and stopping the Fed from, the Fed won't be uh, doing quantitative easing. They won't be buying. In fact, they'll be reducing their holdings of treasuries. That's what everybody is worried about. So it would cause a drop in interest rates. So the stock market went way down, except that the bonds were up. The interest rate went down when he talked about tapering. So he covered his bases there and sort of double speak. He has tapering in the crosshairs, but yet they're continuing to ease with abandon because the economy is so weak, even though unemployment claims were the least they've ever been, or at least they've been for 6 months. So that's it. I have to do some yoga, learn to stand on my head.
Well,
I believe that Bill Gross is very
good at standing on his head.
yeah, he's very good at doing the conga and standing on his head. And
well, I think anybody who gets to the top level, whether it's the financial markets or political markets, has to be very skilled at duplicity. Otherwise, there is no way to achieve
no,
it.
he really believes that the stock market. He's been bearish on the stock since the Dow was 800. He even wrote a book where he was bearish on the stocks, and every one of his newsletters, when he wasn't talking about his elegant restrooms, that was his one luxury. He managed to talk down stocks, but he's not doing it anymore, except for shorting GameStop. He's like Jim Rogers. He's never admitted to having a losing trade.
Well, before we go, I want to ask you a quick question to elaborate on your, I think it was a tweet or was it an email about the pressure and the physics and how that relates to the markets? Because I thought that was interesting.
I've been thinking about the influence of simple physics principles on the market, and why is it that the round numbers never hold? Because there's a lot of pressure. The pressure is the force divided by area, and the area of the stock market of the constructor levels is one number, at 3,900, 3,850, and all the selling pressure exerts a lot of force on a very small point. And that's like why so many hydraulic things work with a lot of pressure on a very small area. And one of the conventional wisdoms that's totally designed to lead the public to lose more money than they have any right to lose is that a double top and a triple top is very bearish. So there's a single point that has a lot of force of buying on it, and it didn't work. So the mumbo jumbo is that it's very bearish, but actually it's very bullish. In fact, there was point and figure analysis is another mumbo jumbo thing, and it works a lot based on these double tops and triple tops being the call for reversing. And the study of that, where they took all the point and figure signals in the previous 10 years and it lost something like 40% a year. But those are thoughts in progress. Okay, well, the one thing that I have that's over and above what you had to say is Tom's proverb of the day. So today, I think, was a good example of a lot of the proverbs that I've read recently have been to that you can have a good opening but lose it in the middle and have a bad close. You're feeling good, and then your happiness turns to tragedy. So here's one that success in the opening can lead to a weak middle game and finally defeat in the ending. That's it for me. I'm totally bereft. Thank you, Yelena.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, I'd like to talk tomorrow, if you have any ideas, let's save it for tomorrow, but the investor sentiment and how that affects the market, if you found that helpful or not.
Thank you.